Hi everyone, and welcome to our Freedom Lifestyle Gut Health event. So this is a topic that's pretty close to my heart. It's certainly something that I know is pretty prevalent in a lot of people's lives. There is a lot of people that are suffering right now. There's all sorts of inflammatory disorders and conditions in people's bodies. And for most people, they're not really aware that it comes from our gut. It starts from our gut. Everything starts from our gut. If our gut is in really bad health or poor health, then we are more likely to have inflamed conditions in our body. And this can be all sorts of different things going on. I mean, obviously we've got, diseases in terms of autoimmune diseases, and which there's a myriad of. But it can even start with the smallest things. So, even just always being sick, constantly getting viruses and always getting bacterial infections and things as well. So I'm Tanya, and I'm really, really passionate about this topic. I absolutely love it because I had an autoimmune disorder myself. I was really sick and I had all sorts of those awful things going on. So I was someone who had major gut issues. I actually had leaky gut. And of course, I remember seeing my blood test and seeing the food particles through my blood. And the doctor said to me, "This is pretty serious. You're this close to an autoimmune disease." And so I had all the markers and I thought, I need to do something about this immediately. So gut health was pretty important for me to improve. And so I really looked at what can I do to improve my gut health. And I was trying all sorts of different things and nothing worked for me. I tried so many supplements, so many different therapies, and nothing was really working. And then of course I found our program. And this really changed my life for me because I finally found something that was feeding my gut and that was supporting my body to heal itself. Because at the end of the day, our body knows how to heal itself. It's a well-oiled machine. We've just got to make sure that we give it the environment that it needs to heal itself. So what did I do? I was sick all the time. I had thrush and UTIs constantly. I had skin irritations and rashes. My hair was falling out. I was absolutely exhausted. I had chronic pain every day. I had pain in my joints and my hands. So I had all sorts of things going on. And for me, once I started using our program and taking our nutritional support, things started to change for me from the second day of using the program and taking the product. So that's how quickly things started to change for me. And so it's been 4 years for me since I've started on this journey. And honestly, I am absolutely grateful for this beautiful program. The other thing is my daughter. So we're going to talk a little bit tonight around the link between gut health and mental health. Now, there's so many studies out at the moment that says that if you have a mental illness, it's highly likely that your gut health is really poor and needs support. And this was pretty prevalent with my daughter. She was 15 at the time. She had severe anxiety. She would have panic attacks and she would cut to ease the pain. And there was nothing that we could do for her. She was under psychologist care. Nothing was working for her. She was about to be put on medication. Neither of us wanted that. And this was the only thing that supported her body to actually heal itself, to actually balance out the hormones, balance out the mood, and actually give your gut some really good food, because essentially that's what we're doing. So let's talk a little bit about our program. So first of all, our program is mind, body, and soul aligned. We believe that to have complete wellness and vibrancy, we actually need to be aligning our mind, our body, and our soul. And of course, we do this aligning our mind, of course, by using our nutritional products, but also by teaching people what to put on their plate. And of course, this is highly important, but also to help people in terms of mindset, change limiting beliefs, use mindfulness practices. And then, of course, when we talk about our spiritual side, we're also bringing in our gratitude and our meditation practices. And I mean, even things like yoga is beautiful and relaxing and is great for the mind, the body, and the spirit, which is what we're really wanting. So everything that we have is based online. It's all lifetime. So once as a customer, you get free access and you have a lifetime access. So this is beautiful for the whole family. It works for the whole family. And of course, you've got recipes, you've got meal guides, you've got shopping lists, you've got everything that you need to support your body and your lifestyle sustainably. So this isn't a quick fix. You know, this isn't about just looking after your body and losing weight and then going back to your normal everyday life. This is a lifestyle change. So this gives you something, teaches you how to eat really well for life, so that if you do lose weight and when you do get healthy, you actually know how to continue eating really well so that you stay healthy and you stay maintaining that weight, which is what we're all about, is health first. So one of the things that I want to show you about tonight is we use part of our program is we use our How to Plate Up, and this teaches people what to put on your plate, because when we think about what's on most people's plates, there's about 70 to 80% foods that are highly processed, refined sugars, processed dairies and meats and carbohydrates and things like that. And then there's only about 10 to 20, maybe 30% of plants on their plate, which is really sad. And no wonder people are sick. No wonder people are suffering. No wonder they have inflammation all through their body. That is not healing the body. That is not healing the gut at all. So what we do is we teach you what is really is good to put on your plate. Of course, plant-based carbohydrates are the best things that you can put in your body for your gut. Your gut loves plants, loves leafy greens, it loves all this beautiful gut food, but it also loves protein, okay? So it really loves all these beautiful things that we're going to teach you, what to put on your plate. So first of all, we think about, we've got 60%, excuse me, I'll just let somebody in. We've got 60% plant-based carbohydrates, we've got 30% protein, and we've got 10% healthy fats. All of our recipes in our program are based on this plate. So this is what we need to put on our plate in every single meal. So the beautiful thing too about our program is not only are our recipes all set up for this, but so are the nutritional support. Now we align ourselves with Juice Plus, and the reason we do that is because they are just plants. There is nothing else in them but just food from the earth. So when we look at these, we've got our fruits, our veggies, and our berries. And these are essentially, that's all they are. So we take the beautiful fruits, veggies, and berries. They are grown in organic soil on 3-generation farms. They are then picked at their peak ripeness. So we allow them to just about fall off the tree. They are snap frozen quickly to secure and lock in all those beautiful nutrients. And then pretty quickly afterwards, they are crushed down into like a giant slushy. They are dehydrated at a super low temperature so that none of the nutrients are destroyed. And then they are placed in a vegan capsule. And this is to ensure that no oxidation destroys any of the nutrients. Because honestly, if you get oxygen into the powders, that's when they're not as effective. So we encapsulate them for a really good reason. Now, the beautiful thing about these is these are also sit beautifully with our 60% plant-based carbs on our plates, which is what our body needs. Now, this is our gut food. This is what feeds our gut. So if our body is not functioning properly, our gut is not going to work properly either. And so we need to make sure that we are eating well, we're giving our body gut food, plus in micronutrient form. Now, we're talking 33 fruits, veggies, and berries in here. Amazing, right? Thousands and thousands of phytonutrients that your body understands. It knows exactly what to do with it because it's just food. It's completely 100% bioavailable. It's in your bloodstream within 7 minutes, and it goes to where your body needs it the most. Like magic. Like I said, your body knows exactly what to do with food, and it knows how to heal itself. Now, the other beautiful thing that we have about these is we have our kids' chews. Now, I just love our company because with every adult order, you can actually sponsor a child for free. So this is a child study that Juice Plus have been doing for a very long time. 25, 30 years, I think, that they've been running the study for. And they wanted to really help kids and improve kids' health for not just this generation, but generations to come. They want to teach kids how to eat really well into their adult life. And of course, we have some beautiful stories around how the Chews help so many kids to improve their health. There's lots of this study that's been done around as part of our child health study that shows that they're going to school more often, they're not getting as sick, they're not visiting the doctor the same, they're eating more fruits and veggies, they're drinking more water, which is amazing. It's just what we want to see in our kids. Now, the other beautiful thing that we have, which also supports our gut, is our protein. We need about 30% protein on our plate. Now, this protein is in any form that works for you. This fits beautifully along pescatarian or vegan or vegetarian or paleo or keto diets, which is beautiful. It's what we want to be doing, supporting that. And of course, we have our really delicious, believe me, these are delicious, complete powders. Now, these are protein powders, but they also have a small amount of healthy carbs and healthy fats as well, which our body really needs. And these, again, are just 100% plants and just chocker full of pre and probiotics. These were specifically designed to support our gut health. So these are made for our digestion. So it's really normal when you first start on them to feel a little bit gassy in the first few days, and then that goes away. But that's a really good thing, because you know that it's got beautiful probiotic food in here that is so good for your gut and really gets your gut working. So when you're supporting your gut with your protein powders plus your fruits and veggie micronutrients, you've got a really happy gut, really happy. Now, these have got so many superfoods in them as well, things like yucca and quinoa and spirulina and things that you wouldn't normally have, or you wouldn't normally eat it yourself. And the other thing it's got in it is it's got heaps of mushroom powder, which is high in B vitamins, which is great for mood boosting as well. So these are really good. These were great for my daughter. She had a lot of these as well. But I love these also for traveling, and they're great healthy snacks for kids. And of course, they're just doing your body really good things, right? Great. They do great things to your body and delicious flavors, chocolate and vanilla. Now, the last thing that we need to be putting on our plates, we need 10% healthy fats. Now, the fats are really, really important for your brain health, okay? So when you think about your brain health, so if you're highly stressed, your adrenals are really stressed. And if your adrenals are stressed, then you're not going to be digesting your food. The last thing you want to be doing when you're getting chased by a saber-toothed tiger is to stop and sit down and eat a meal, right? So what we need to be doing is supporting our brain health and our nervous system through giving it really healthy fats. And once you're doing that, and all of our neural pathways are working really smoothly and we're responding rather than reacting to things, then our body is able to digest the protein that we're putting in our body. And of course, when you're putting really good protein in your body, and it's actually your immune system is able to be supported, your immune system is able to work better. So you're not going to get sick the same. Your body's going to be able to heal itself a lot easier, which I absolutely love. So what have we got to support our body with our healthy fats? We have our beautiful omegas, and again, these are just plants. We completely skip the fish because we don't believe in taking fish out of the sea just for oil. But there's hardly any fish in the sea anyway, and they are high in mercury, so we do want to avoid that. And the other thing about it is the process to remove the oil from fish is chemically and heat processed. So by the time the oil goes into your body, it's highly toxic. So it's not actually doing your body any good at all. And believe me, I was somebody who I felt I had the effects of this. I was using omega-3s for 4 years for the pain in my hands. Nothing was working. It just wasn't doing a thing for me. So, and then once I started using these, things changed and I have no pain anymore at all in my hands, which is amazing. So we go straight to the source. We grow in a clean environment, our algal oil. And then we've also got another 5 plant seed sources as well. And these are actually delicious. They taste of Jaffa. They're kind of orangey. They're really beautiful. So I love these, and no fishy burps either, which is great. And so what's that doing? That is supporting our brain health, and we need really, really great, well-functioning nervous system to make sure the rest of our body is functioning at a really high level. So what you're going to hear now, are you going to hear some stories, some beautiful stories around people who, or from our customers who are finding that they are having really good results directly linked to their gut health. So I'm going to pass you on over to Kiri, and Kiri's going to share what she loves about the program and how it's really helped her.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Hi. I've been on the products for about 6-7 months now. So before I started, I was suffering for anxiety, depression, but I also had IBS, fatty liver, and I'd gained a fair bit of weight. So I got to the point in my life where I'd settled, thought nothing better was coming, so figured this was life. Sit on the couch, eat crap food. This is it. I'm done. Until I reached out for someone with this amazing product and amazing program. And I found not only is my IBS better, thanks to, I don't know if it's the shakes, I don't know if it's anything, if it's the whole product put together. I'm 99% sure it is. But whatever it is, it's amazing. My IBS is under control. And I've also, as Tanya said, when you have a healthy gut, your mental situation is a lot better. I've actually halved my depression meds, which was a lot at one point. So I was on what was classified as an antipsychotic dose just because I was so down. And I'm just not anymore. I'm happy. I'm just, I don't know how to explain it. It's amazing. My gut health is amazing because it's just, I'm not going to well, needing to go to the toilet all the time like I was. Gross as that sounds. And also I was put on pretty high medications for an infection a while, like recently. And I was told that they are pretty intense medications and they come with a lot of side effects. Guts, like gut stuff is high on the side effects, and I kept up with the shakes that Tanya's just mentioned, and I didn't have any. And coming from someone that has IBS and everything like that, you'd kind of expect them. And no, didn't have one. So, I mean, I can't thank this program and the products enough. I mean, I've even lost 5 kgs from being healthy, and wasn't even trying because I'm healthy. It just works. So I don't really know what else to say except for it works, and I'm forever grateful for everything this product and everything has.
Oh my God, I love your story, Kiri. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing, honey.
It's all right. I was going to pass on to, I don't know, Ange now, I believe. I don't know how to do that.
It's all right. Took myself off mute. Here we
go.
Thank
you.
Thanks for that. Hi, yeah, I'm Angie, and I've been on the products now for a couple of years. Where I was before, from a gut health perspective, I didn't know what a healthy gut was supposed to be like, because from the age of about 15, I'd suffered so badly with IBS. I actually just thought that there was something majorly wrong, and finally getting diagnosed as IBS back then, with very limited amount of opportunity for that to improve. So there was no cure. So it was things like going to the doctors for antispasmodic medication that was meant to stop the stomach spasms that were just intense. Back then I was a hell of a lot slimmer, probably because I wasn't taking in any nutrients from my food, because nothing stayed in me long enough, basically. But I would actually see my stomach pulsating where it was going into spasm. And you know, it can be stress related with IBS, but I think between the two, between being very unwell, feeling bloated, you know, definitely a lot of brain fog, and later on, as the years went on with no improvement, heading into, like Tan said, with leaky gut, which definitely contributed to my mental health, as well as my physical. I wasn't a healthy teenager, going through those kind of hormonal changes. So crazy times. And yeah, just as I've got older and had children and different things like that, I've just continued to suffer. There will be times when it was slightly better than it was, but it was never sorted. And I went through different process eliminations of different food mapping. And to be honest, nothing really corrected itself. And I genuinely believe now, through a lot more education and a lot more knowledge, that you know, I wasn't able to sustain a healthy gut microbiome, you know, micro source to be able to ever really get well again. So it was out of sync. But so I probably got to the point where that was me. And then I also got diagnosed, which I think was obviously an onset that carried on for years, with fibromyalgia. So I think then playing from leaky gut into the rest of my body, joints, brain fog, fatigue, yeah, just knocked me for six. So, you know, a couple of years back, before starting the products and the program, I was just at rock bottom. Personally couldn't cope with just the most simplest of jobs. And self-care wasn't something that was even focused upon, because it was just make a meal for the family, get something on the plate, eat it, feel like crap afterwards, and go to bed feeling crap, wake up feeling crap. It was just an ongoing thing for me. And what I was serving up, I didn't think was particularly unhealthy, what I grew up with. You know, you're meat and 2 veg, and thought that was enough. So bring me to sort of like the last couple of years, like, wow, I couldn't believe how much of my life I got back again. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't just about looking at a product that was going to possibly be nutrient based and natural, which is where I got to, because I had enough of medications that just make you feel worse. Really wasn't really improving much. There's been something that I never really understood, because I thought you just eat, you have to eat, and there's food out there. So I probably did have a highly processed, highly sugar diet. But what I've learned is, when you've got an out of whack bacteria in your gut, it's going to feed off those sugars. It's going to create more problems. And the more that you crave things, you know, the thicker the cycle becomes. And so I was definitely in that kind of cycle. And it needed to be broken. And the products and the program were hand in hand, an opportunity for that to break. But I didn't realize how powerful it was at the time. So, you know, once you start looking at, okay, a cleaner diet, cutting out processed foods, like, yep, that would be good for me, I'll do that. But to be supported by a nutritional base to work that from was just phenomenal. So within the matter of a few weeks, and I look back thinking, like, surely it was longer than a couple of weeks, but I just remember the moments of feeling like I actually have some energy. I actually feel like I can make some changes. So it's sort of like, until I jumped on, I didn't know what journey I was going to have. But the benefits is that straight away the energy came that I normally was depleted of, because I wasn't feeding my body with anything substantial that was going to benefit me in any way, because I was just constantly depleted. So giving my gut its first opportunity to have something sustainable that actually was nutritionally based without having to do anything else was a good start. Because once you start feeding your body with good things, your body starts craving those good things. So I was on a mission then, which was really good, because I'd never been able to focus on being on a mission for health, because I didn't really know where to start. So to have the you know, the opportunities to look at what I could be eating other than what I was eating, moving out some of the processed stuff and bringing in some of the products like the shakes that were good if you're craving sugary things. But I just found that I just made such big leaps and bounds, and I went into what was classed as not only with my IBS but also with my fibromyalgia, which was what I was diagnosed with later. And within those 2 years, I've put both of them in remission. So the only time I find is that I hit a rock bottom is if I am a little bit too cheeky with myself, because I felt so good that I could just go eat anything. So if I got off track and I had a blowout and I ate things that really wasn't serving me. So if I started back on anything highly processed, or I started back on anything that had like chocolate and things, instead of going with a more natural consistency of a sweet base, I would start to feel those effects, but I would start to feel them enough to say, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm not going down that road. So holistically, it's helped me with my mindset. It's helped me crave better things. Like, I've educated myself over the last 2 years because of this change. So I've looked at things like mental health and nutrition. I've done a course on mental health and nutrition. I've learned so much about how your gut and your brain interact with each other, enough to know that you can pretty much reverse a lot of illnesses that should never have occurred in the first place because of over processed foods. So yeah, I was only probably supposed to share a 2 minutes explanation of how things have gone for me, but it has been that good that it's so hard to hold back on how passionate I now feel, the same as Tan does. Look how much these products and the programs supporting them are to really being able to give you the optimum of health. So I've certainly turned a lot of things around, and I'm not the same person as I was 2 years ago, and I can only be as thankful as I ever can be for such a change around to being introduced to this product and programs, you know, across the board. So I've been on the Omegas again more recently, because I came off them and thought, oh, do I really need them? I can eat some salmon out of a can. Oh my God, I'm back on them again, and I needed to be, because I feel so much better now, and I certainly couldn't eat enough salmon. And unless it's fresh and lovely, it doesn't certainly taste as nice out the can, but definitely getting that clarity back, where I was starting to lose it when I came off of those Omegas. So I've sort of played around with it enough, and had a week here one time when my products were a bit later than I should have had them in. And once I feel that downfall, I'm not going to come off them again, because it's just like the healthiest way that I can possibly ever live now.
Thank you so much, Angie. I love your story. So powerful every time.
Thank you. I'd like to pass to Dominique.
Thanks, Angie, and thanks. Oh my gosh, your stories are amazing, like incredible. So yeah, I'm Dominique. Thanks for having me. I wanted to just share my story. Mine's more in regards to mental health. So 20 years ago, I weighed 25 kgs less than I do now. So I weighed 38 kgs, and I was not in a good place whatsoever. I had an eating disorder. I had anorexia nervosa. I ate next to nothing. And as a result, I felt pretty horrific, as you can imagine. My mental health was pretty bad. I felt really depressed, so low. I just didn't feel like life was really worth living. My hair was falling out. I was cold all the time. I actually started growing like hair on my body, just because it was like my body's way of trying to provide heat for myself. And so it wasn't a great place. I went through some therapy, and as I started eating, I started to feel better. So a lot of people, when they don't feel so good, they may choose to go and take, say, antidepressants. And a lot of the people I was sort of in therapy with would do that. But I just found that as I started eating, giving myself food and like nutrients, I just started feeling better mentally, and it just had a flow-on effect. And as a result, I recovered, which was fantastic. But fast forward to 17 years later, I sort of found myself in a position where I was highly stressed, highly strung out. My job was highly stressful. I felt like I was on this rat wheel. I was eating a lot of processed foods. I was a vegetarian at the time, but I just was eating like fast vegetarian food, just to keep me going, and to just because I was working such long hours, I just needed something to fuel me, and it was not the great choices. And I was drinking a lot. And as a result, my stress levels were so high. And then I got diagnosed with a disease, a cancer it was. And I went on a bit of a health recovery process. And I found these products, which was amazing. And what I found was as I started taking these products, things started to, it complemented a lot of the other natural remedies that I was doing, but it just really started making me feel better. And it started to improve my anxiety, because I would get sort of quite socially anxious. But as I took them, I found that it almost like dulled the anxiety. And I was just really giving myself everything that my body needed to give it health. I overhauled my diet, and this was just almost like icing on the cake, these products. And I will never go back to what I was. And I will certainly always be on these products, because I just find them so, they just complement my lifestyle so well. I'm really big on health now, and I just find that, you know, being able to take a product that is based on food is an absolute, it's just a bonus. I don't want to be taking unnatural supplements, chemical supplements. It's something I don't want to do. And so this just really resonates with who I am and everything I'm about. And so, yeah, I'm just so grateful for these. So I'm going to pass you on to Rachel now.
Hi everybody, so I'm Rachel. Thank you to the lovely ladies who've shared before me. I absolutely love, I've heard a lot of your stories before, but I absolutely love hearing them over and over again. It's so beautiful to hear what you're all about in your recovery. So I'm going to start, I guess, from the beginning with my gut health. So it sort of for me started when I was about 10 years old. I started getting periods, which obviously was quite young. Even in my mum's family, genetically, most people didn't get them that young. And that's when my gut health kind of played up and started going downhill. So my periods left me pretty much bedridden. So I was vomiting, I was in a lot of pain, I was bleeding really excessively. So I was, I was, for at least the first 3 to 4 days, I couldn't do very much at all. So that then led to, you know, that made high school difficult, which, you know, so that led to anxiety, that led to depression, and then that led to you know, all sorts of things. And it just, everything just sort of piled on top of it and got on top and on top and on top until I really couldn't cope. So during high school, I sort of isolated myself quite a lot. I ate, you know, reasonably, you know, sort of standard what I'd really been brought up with, which was just, you know, we come from a farming family. So, you know, we just had meat and 3 vegetables every night. You know, our food was generally sourced off the land. That was, you know, how we sort of functioned. So I wasn't eating terribly, but, you know, my diet wasn't that great. But I always sort of thought if you make it from home, if you make your own baking, then it's sort of a little healthier than buying stuff in the store. But I still wasn't that well. Like even as a person, once I started to regulate my periods through more medication, which was something that took years before we tried to, you know, before we sort of got it to, I mean, almost right-ish, you know, it never really got quite right. But, you know, so we sort of got somewhere, you know, which was sort of livable. I didn't feel that great in myself. And, you know, every winter I'd get a cold, you know, and I'd be in bed for a few days with a cold. And my nose would start bleeding, and, you know, so that would play up, and, you know, you get the general aches and pains. And I just thought it was normal. And then, you know, there'd be the viral bug going around, you know, so you'd pick up on that, and then you know, that'd knock you around for a couple of days, and you'd get back up again and you'd start going again. And I just thought all this stuff was just a part of, you know, life. Like it just seemed fairly normal to me. Like, you know, everyone gets sick and everyone recovers, and you just kind of go through a stage of it. And it wasn't until I started taking the products, you know, I'd been through a teenage acne thing, and I had really bad acne, and the products were meant to be really good for that, but also my anxiety and depression. I've been on meds for quite a while, so I was looking, you know, like Kerry to reduce that medication back down, but I didn't want to do it without adding something to my lifestyle, you know, first. So I spoke to my friend about it, and that's where I sort of started. And it wasn't until I sort of got onto the products, and I'd been on them for a little while, that I started noticing things like, you know, over the years, because I love to go into the gym. and I'd do little detoxes for myself. I had a home recipe that I could mix a detox drink and I'd have for like 3 days, but it would really, really upset my gut. Like my gut would be like really upset for the following few days. And I would, it'd upset things quite a lot. So I could only do it for like 3 days. And then when I started taking our products, I started realizing that actually I could do those little detoxes, but the products were getting rid of anything that my body didn't need. So, my gut was constantly cleansing itself, keeping itself nice and healthy, getting that nice natural flora going and keeping itself really well oiled. So, if I was doing a detox, I'd hardly notice the side effects from it. I'd get a little bit, but not that bad because, your body wasn't hanging on to all those things it didn't need, and it wasn't feeding off good sugars. It wasn't feeding off bad sugars, sorry, because it was only getting good sugars fed into it. So, things were starting to play into a lot more proportion. And that's when things like, my skin and my period started to resolve themselves, less aches and pains, less, because, obviously less inflammation. And yeah, overall, I just started to feel a lot better, and my anxiety and my depression was, starting to reduce. And that's when I started to, and actually today, I approached the medical team that we consult with every 3 months about reducing my medication back down again. And they're actually happy to do that now because I'm in a more stable place now. My gut flora is working a lot nicer, so it's contributing to my mental health, but also the omegas are helping with the brain fog. So, I'm not... my brain, those neuro pathways are a lot clearer now, so the messages are getting through a lot easier, so you're not in this anxious fight or flight mode all the time, which is where I constantly was. So yeah, it's definitely been a lot of positive changes in my life. And it's, I'm a lifer. This is my constant. It's kind of, if I get a bit funny now, like, I have smoothies every single day. So if I suddenly run out of complete powder, I'm like, oh my God, what do I have for breakfast? Because it's what it, it's become a habit. And I absolutely love the recovery that, I get to see amongst the beautiful women and men in our team, but also the recovery in myself has been just phenomenal. Yeah, and I appreciate it so much. So I'm going to hand you over to the lovely Tammy now, and she's going to share her story and some really good insight.
Awesome stories tonight, ladies. Thank you so much for sharing. It's really been good, and lots there that I resonate with as well. But I'm just going to do a quick share on my own story. I've just realized my computers, I've got about 7%. I should have enough time to chat. Not very well organized. It's too busy listening. Yeah, so that's how engrossing it was. So yeah, I came across these products 3 years ago, and I was on a bit of a mission to help my daughter. I've definitely got my own gut issue stories, but my daughter's story was really what drove me to this, and to really try these products out and to try the program out, and just to give all of these people everything, the support group, everything that, a go. And when I met Tanya one day at a live event at her house, I just listened to everything and ended up going home with my order and joining the business. And it was because I just had a lot of work to do at home, and I was really quite convinced that this was worth a shot. The work was with my daughter. So Dom, we relate to your story quite a bit. My daughter was well underweight, and she had been since her early teens. She's 23 now, so she was about 20 when we came across these. So we'd had a long battle with eating disorder teams, mental health units, all kinds of things, counselors and everything with my daughter, and everybody's advice just didn't seem to help. A bit like Tanya's, like we just tried everything and nothing kind of worked, and she just wasn't coming right, and she was just continuously losing weight. And they just kept coming back and saying it was a mental thing, and that it was something that she was deliberately doing, and she needed to sort of snap out of it. She needed more counseling, and she needed more work. And my daughter's name is Hazel, by the way, and she's also joined us. That's how much she loves it now. So anyway, we've just been around in circles for a long time, and I really was serious about nutrition. I'd done a lot of research into nutrition, and I kept on going along to these meetings and kind of ending up in arguments with the doctors or the nutritionists or something, saying, I really, really don't believe this diet that you're giving her is helping her gut repair. I really believe her mental health issues are starting in the gut. I really believe this sickness and this eating disorder is led by the gut. You know, she can't think her stomach is thinking for her, but it's not thinking properly. And there's mitochondria and everything that's going on. You know, the central nervous system, like Rachel was talking about, nothing was connecting and firing properly. And so as hard as she wanted to be better, she was actually eating an awful lot, and she still wasn't putting on the weight. So it wasn't like she was stuck in a cycle of deprivation. She was actually trying really hard to eat. And she was saying to me, Mum, like, I'm just so exhausted from eating all the time. I'm sick of it. And so for me, coming across a dense nutrition in a capsule was like a dream come true, because it cut out all the hours of laborious, like, eating. And when someone's got a really low weight and an eating disorder, the act of eating actually burns so much energy that the food has to be a high enough caloric intake that it makes it worth the energy of the, you know, chewing and consuming and eating the product. And even the stress related to sitting down and eating it all burns more energy. So she was exhausted before she'd even started. She was also too exhausted to organize her own meals and think about what she might like to eat. The concept of going to a cafe would send her into a complete panic, because she would need to make a decision on the menu. So we just needed to super boost her somehow. And so I started her on the first 4 months, and I was almost too scared to ask her how she was feeling, because I wasn't seeing a visible difference in a hurry. And this is why more than 4 months is so important. You need that full cycle. You know, it was actually her that came to me and told me that she was feeling more energy. And I noticed that she was up more often because she was sleeping nearly 20 hours a day. And her chronic fatigue and her body pain and everything was so severe that she couldn't hold down a job or anything, or a life, you know. So I just called her my Sleeping Beauty, and I thought she had a Sleeping Beauty disease or something, you know. But actually no, I found her in the kitchen one day, and she was in the program and she was cooking something, and I just about fell over, like so confused, but also so excited to see her actually up and thinking for herself and making something for herself. Because my life was literally ruled by trying to make sure there was food home, cooked and ready when I went to work. And often I'd come home and it was still there. So, you know, it was a really big change. And I'm running out of time, but our story from there has just gone up and up in leaps and bounds. She was released from the doctor's weekly check-ins, weekly weigh-ins, weekly counselling and everything within the first 6 months. And she had put on enough weight to be released eventually. Actually, that was within the first 3 months. Within 6 months, she was completely released from the entire system. So that for us was a major, major breakthrough, because she'd been years in there, and you don't voluntarily leave. They have to give you a bill of health to go. So yeah, I cannot honestly be grateful enough for the changes this has been for us in our lives. For me as a mum, that's massive. And for her as a young lady, she now has her cycles, just like Rach was talking about. You know, she's actually a functioning woman again, and she's a happy girl. So I'm just going to wrap my story up there. And I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight and listening to all of our stories. Some really beautiful stories there, really heartfelt. And whoever invited you to this, if you would like to chat some more, please go back to that person or any of us and just ask some questions, or just jump in and join us. Whether you want to be a customer or you want to join us in the fun of the biz, like, we are 100% here for you. We're an amazing team, and our stories are real, they're true, and we would love to help you have some similar stories too. So I'm just going to leave you there. Thank you for joining us. Good night.